Hi, everyone. I'm Megan Boone, and I'm the director of the Career Center here at Morehead State. And thanks for joining me. I'm going to talk today about how to put together a strong resume and just a little bit about myself. I began my career actually recruiting engineers amongst other positions for General Electric. And then prior to working at Morehead State, worked with the University of Kentucky's College of Engineering, helping their graduates find jobs and internships. And so one of the things that I've learned over the course of my own career is that most engineers have the technical skills, right? You know the SolidWorks, you know AutoCAD, you know surveying and cost estimating. That's not what differentiates you from other candidates. It tends to be these transferable skills. So think about that as you're building your resume. How do you show leadership? How do you show both oral and written communication? How do you convince a potential employer that you're good in teams? And the other thing is you're structuring your resume. You want to keep it original. You want to keep it easy to read. Most employers tell us they look at them about 15 seconds. So you can see on the sample on the screen, clear section headings. It's easy to see where the education is. They've got a nice snapshot of skills in here. They've got an experience section that's bulleted, the details. They've used bold strategically. You want to make sure that your resume does not have paragraphs of information. It needs to be easy to skim. I would also encourage you to understand what it is that employers are looking for. So, of course, when they're looking at a resume, they want to know your major. But they're also interested in any leadership positions you've held, any extracurriculars that you've been involved with in college. I probably wouldn't go as far back as high school with those. So what I would encourage you to do is to really just kind of brainstorm. What jobs have you had? Where have you volunteered? What professional organizations are you a part of? Are you part of ATME or AGC? What class projects have you had? And think about those in terms of what best showcases for you your engineering experiences. Because sometimes I'll see resumes and I will have no idea that this person has any engineering skills, because their work history hasn't been in that area. And if that's the case for you, if you've had internships and co-ops related to engineering, you certainly do want to showcase those. But if you haven't, then you still want to be trying to showcase something related to your hands-on engineering experience. So I would encourage you in that scenario to focus on class projects, things that you've done in labs and such. Because you've got such limited time to convince someone that you're the best candidate that they want to interview, be strategic with every element of your resume. And one of the most prominent parts of a resume are those headings. And so, rather than calling something other activities, if you've held a leadership role in AGC, for instance, you would probably want to title that section something more impressive, like leadership involvement, and then detail your experience within that. With your education, make sure you have your education on your resume. I know maybe you haven't earned your degree just yet, but go ahead, list what degree you're working on. Be specific enough, right, that the employer can tell if that's electronics focused, construction management, or manufacturing. Go ahead and put an anticipated graduation date. And again, if you don't have a lot of internship co-op experience, this would be where you could list some courses that you've had. You could list some course projects that you've engaged in, maybe undergraduate research that you've done and things. If you take nothing else away from your brief time with me today, I want you to know how to use this ACE method to really craft strong bullet points on your resume. And so the ACE is just an acronym. It's for action. So we would want each of those bullets to start with an action verb. These are words like managed, led, solved, designed, prototyped, right? And then move into the challenge, what it is you're trying to do. And then maybe most importantly, have an end result in there. And I think in a lot of cases, engineering lends itself to having an end result, whether that's time saved, scrap waste reduced, those sorts of things. You can quantify what you've done. And so I want you to move away from very vague general terms on your resume, for instance, customer service experience, and replace that with something more like what you're seeing in blue here, right? We've got numbers of customers they're serving. I can see exactly what technical software they're working with. Another example, with the better being in black here, rather than just saying you help with projects. Be specific with what you're working on. Put some dollars in there. Don't just tell me that you helped with construction projects. Are we talking multi-million-dollar projects or a $5,000 renovation of a room, right? Quantify it if that's going to help you and be more impressive. So once you actually would craft that into a format on your resume, something like this is how you would want to approach it, right? You've got that heading of experience, you've got the employer bold, used a little different italics with the job title, you've got your dates, you've got your basic information, and then you've applied that ACE method, right? So I can see here, I don't know, let's go with the third bullet. Implemented is my action verb. The challenge is trying to increase that efficiency. And hey, the end result, I was able to increase that capacity by 36%. That's what I want you to be able to do on your resume. And use the same formula not just for work experience, but also use that formula for activities that you were involved with. Maybe you were a student athlete. Again, start with that action verb and then put that challenge and end result in there. If you've held multiple roles with a club or an organization, or even maybe you've been promoted where you've worked, I would encourage you to show that in some visual way so I can kind of glance at this and see vice president, secretary. You want someone to be able to do that because, again, remember, they're only looking at that resume for, say, 15 seconds on that initial skim through. So just to recap, and I know I've gone through a lot quickly, but I wanted to keep this brief. I could talk over an hour on how to put together a strong resume. Start with those action verbs. Don't use complete sentences. I should never read I did. I should never read responsible for. Get straight to the point. Use bullets as much as you can to make it easy on the eye. Provide those specific details. Quantify things as much as you can. Focus on not just what you did, but what you accomplished. And that's a little bit different of a mindset. And it goes back to that question of what differentiates you from other candidates. And then lastly, I don't think I've mentioned this, within your sections, make sure that you're ordering the most impressive or the most relevant bullets first. So when someone reads down the resume, they're going to see the best stuff first. They're going to see your relevant work history before they might see other activities that you were involved in. So think about the order that's going to best represent you. Know that we're available in the Career Center to help you improve your resume. You can simply email it to us at careerservices@moorheadstate.edu. Tell us a little bit about your career goal, if you're using it for an internship or what types of full-time jobs interest you so we can really tailor that advice. We have some events coming up this semester. We have a resume lab and then a resume blitz event. You might want to take advantage of those. And you can certainly call to schedule a virtual appointment. 606-783-2233 is our number. And we are still open, but if you do wander in, we're going to ask you to meet with us virtually. But our suit bank is available, so if you need a suit for a professional interview you may want to take advantage of that service. So I hope you'll reach out to us.